Hi guys, it's me, just Lucy again, and for this video that I will be dedicating to Avatar The Last Airbender vlogs, I should be talking about episode 17 of season 1, or book 1 of this great show. And the name of the episode is The Northern Air Temple. And this is almost the end of the water cycle. The water cycle of Team Avatar and the group. And we're almost done with book 1. So now, I like this episode. I like it a lot. Because it foreshadows two important things that will happen later on in the franchise. The first one is very easy. And I like it for other reasons other than what you might think. So, let's get the first foreshadowing moment out of the way first. Now, it comes in like a minor thing that will come later on in the franchise, in the Legend of Korra show. And basically, the Team Avatar over there enjoying like a campfire and doing like ghost stories about airbenders and whatnot, airbender stories. And this is actually quite interesting because they're talking about flying men. And you might pass this off as like a hearsay or like ghost stories or legendary stuff or whatever. It's not real. But in the future of the franchise, in the Legend of Korra TV show, they do make reference to Zahir, which he experienced the loss of one of his close partners or lovers, and he gains the ability to fly because he has no attachment to anybody else, anyone earthly. So therefore he gains the ability to fly. And that's what I'm talking about here. So basically they're alluding to someone who's more proficient at airbending than adding the Avatar is. I don't know if they were planning on emphasizing this new idea and making it flourish, or if they were just passing ideas along and making it into a ghost story type thing, which it appears to be until the next show comes around. And the other foreshadowing moment comes when I'll get to that when I get to it. So anyway, Team Avatar, flying up the real workhorse of the show, is over there the Gulf fly to the North Pole. So they decide to go to the Northern Air Temple. I forgot which temple they visited in the past couple episodes, but the air nomads have four temples each located at the four cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west. So now they're going to the north one, which is indicative of the idea that they have to get to the North Pole there's a technical of. But the thing, but what's more important is that it's just more of a like a traveling, like a show of progress, being that they go into the north. And I like the idea that they have a different design for this temple than the other temple, because they could just easily make every air nomad temple into something similar or identical, but they didn't. The only thing that is identical, which I think should remain identical, is the whole secret room that only airbenders can access, which would be debate about how people would get into it and how they were able not to get into it. But that's where the Orin the symbol-like thing on the door comes into the lock. The only airbender can operate, kind of like the fire temple on the Fire Island in the Fire Nation. So this is actually real cool because it's the only one of the 2 times I think where they integrate traditional 2D animation with 3D CGI animation. I have no idea why, but they did it. The other part is with the tanks at the end of the cartoon, which is pretty amazing too. But I would say that the tanks are more complicated, so they would need to draw it better. You would need to put more effort into actually drawing them, whereas they could easily put them in CGI, so that makes more sense. But with these round symbols, I don't know why they would be required to use the CGI. But anyway, they have this. And then we are introduced to Aang talking about like the air people. Now I don't know where they're from, but I'm gonna assume that they were Earth Kingdom members because they were all green. And we're introduced to the air people that glide around like air currents and whatnot. Very similar to Aang, to the point that they confused the whole aspect of are these airbenders or are they people imitating them, and we find out that they're imitating them. And one of the guys is I'm sure he's got a name here, but the wheelchair guy. You know, and I know that people refer to him as the wheelchair guy because he's the only guy in a wheelchair in this show, pretty much. I think. So they portray the disability as something that's very not a hindrance to anybody really, but they show that this kid is ballsy. And he likes adventure, he likes flying, and he likes putting himself in physical risk. Like me, like more. So this character and the top 5 are good inspirations for people with disabilities of various types. More so because they got physical disabilities. But in any case, they always let the kid in the wheelchair have like it really doesn't get him down like he's disabled or whatnot. I don't know if that's a permanent disability, but you never show him leaving the chair, so I guess it must be a permanent one. It's explained that in the flood that killed his mother and made them move out of the valley or wherever they were staying at. I think it's implied that the flood injured him in some way, shape, or form. And also, the father looked an awful lot like my old social studies teacher back in high school, Mrs. Loneke. So in any case, until the coincidence. Anyway, he also looks like a younger version of Doug Brown in Back to the Future. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, but he does. So anyway, and also I think that he's voiced by Dante Bosco, the voice of Zuko, but don't quote me on that, I don't know that for a fact. So anyway, there's a little problem with this temple, and Aang is very vocal in calling him out on it. Now, these temples are sacred to Aang people. They got lots of touch work, lots of values and the treasures and stuff that airbenders would appreciate if there were any besides Aang. So the entire culture, the entire history of airbending and the culture of nomads is in the temple, so it's kind of important to him. But when these people came into stay over there, even with temporary, they brutalized all the sacred objects, and they made room. They put pipes in there. Pipes, they at one point they end up putting a wrecking ball into one of the walls over there. And they ruined all the mosaics, all the beautiful architecture, all the stuff, all in the name of progress and stuff, and saying that nature does do this too, does make room for progress. But then somebody else says, yeah, but nature knows when to stop with it. So I'm on the fence on this one, because I like the idea about making progress and getting rid of the old ways and stuff. But on the other hand, they are very unceremonious about it. They just put pipes and whatever willy-nilly in this place. They don't even think to consider, should we do this, or should we put it here, or should we put it there, or whatever. They just go gung-ho through it. They just destroy everything in their path. I mean, there's a part in the thing where they have there's a part in the episode where they have a big Buddhist type statue, like a big airbender statue in there, and the scientist guy ended up putting pipe right through his face. So there's a little bit of a problem with that, because it'd be like putting a factory inside of, say, a cathedral, or say a mosque, or a synagogue, for example, a religious building. You can do it. You can do it the right way, or you can do it the wrong way. And these people seem to do it the wrong way, and think it was acceptable. I mean, for example, with the big pillar there, with the big statue there, they could easily make the pipes go around the statue and then go up into the ceiling or wherever they were leading to. But no, he had to do the profane thing and just demolish half the face of the statue and other parts of the statue too. they couldn't just make the statue scooch over a few inches for this gigantic pipe. You know, I think that's what got me upset, was that, you know, that they didn't take the time to care about, you know, moving around the sacred objects. They just bear right through with it, with demanding progress and all that. Which I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right. You could easily do something about that. They didn't have to destroy precious objects for the sake of the progress and mechanical whatever. So that's one reason why I think that thing should be pissed off. Even when it did get into the CGI room that's only meant for airbenders, that they were able to find out a secret about the old man, the old scientist father there. Well, I wonder, how was he able to get in there? It's the only way to get past the door lock mechanism was to have an airbender open it by using both of their hands. You know, that's like a very interesting question. Yeah, how'd you get in there? Unless there was kind of an air pump or something that you used. And if that was the case, couldn't you use that same type of technology or know-how to get to the other inner sanctums of the other air temples? So anyway, this is also tied to a little secret about of stuff too. So anyway, we talk about how the guy, the wheelchair guy is like, you know, he's obviously not an airbender, but he got the same spirit of one. And he and Katara and Sakai get along good to the point that he does change his mind and does want to go investigate the little back room there. But not before a little bit of comedy, because Katara is gliding around and enjoying the sights. Now, you would think that Aang would say, you know, let me take you for right Katara on my glider. You know, let me show you a real airbender experience. You know, impress Lee Yizo to impress Saga and his sister. But no, this is the first time I gliding. And you know, it's really funny because the wheelchair guy says to her, make sure you don't open your mouth, otherwise you'll swallow a bug. So when Momo does that for snacks and food, that's something pretty bad. But then she said, how do I land this thing? And she said, a bug. That was definitely a bug. Now I'm sure that in saying that was just a bug, she probably swallowed 3 more. Thank God she was driving in the south. Let me tell you something. There were bugs all over my windshield when we were driving there. Even when we parked, there were swarms of bugs. But in any case, I digress. They go into the room there and does this little airbending tricks. You open the door and you find out there's Fire Nation stuff over there. Like a hot air balloon that's deflated at this point. And it's like, what the hell is it, all this? Fire Nation is our enemy. They destroyed thousands of millions of people. They're gonna try to take over the world, all that other good stuff. So when asked about it, the guy said that the father said that he was his people were moved from the where they were originally to there, and the Fire Nation came by and they wanted to attack them. So the father pleaded with them not to have them destroy the building and themselves. So he made a deal with them that they would work for them and build a whole hot air balloon and stuff. Or as people would say, Zeppelins. Like, I love the Hindenburg. Even though that really didn't go too well for the Germans. Because this didn't go together. And that's the thing that I was alluding to before, the foreshadowing. So, my question is, now, the Fire Nation, that's the thing, fire and heat. So why didn't they just build an airship for themselves? You didn't own power, you didn't own that ingenuity and stuff. You know, it got all the steel and metal they used. They used the heat in the forges to make into a giant steel, whatever else they want to build. So why not build their own airships? So there's also a little point that said that because there was like a back room in like the basement of the complex, that the guy found a large methane deposit, air deposit there, so that it was basically like a big explosion waiting to happen, and so I could come up with the idea by mixing rotten eggs with that methane, so that they can detect where it's leaking out into the air. And it turned out to be right in the pathway of the Fire Nation invasion into the temple. Lucky. So then they went in air a Fire Nation general or colonel, some dignitary wants to know the scientist project dirigible or Zeppelin in progress. So and said nothing for sale. The deal off. The deal is off. So then the guy says, okay, I'll come back with all my forces, try to get over to where Aang said, that they have the air superiority with gliders, and they can bring the bombs that the like grenades on the Fire Nation that they would come by. So they have 4 types of grenades: fire grenades, fire bombs, sticky bombs, smoke bombs, and stink bombs. And so there's like a little mini fight against the Fire Nation. And this is the first episode in which they include the Fire Nation CGI tanks. And boy, these are really scary, because they're like the World War I tanks, which can be inverted and still operate with remote control cars. And it's really exciting to see them. So these one cannons, they have slots with the Fire Nation people inside. Shoot fire fists and stuff, and they aim it like missiles up at the outside world. This is actually really smart, because Fire Nation had the power of metal behind them. They can't metal bend. That's when Tough gets into play. But with the metal ships and with the metal tanks, they're more or less like invincible because there's no bending discipline to take out a tank directly. They did, air bending can push around. Water bending is like the only weakness to see tanks, and they can just push them around. And then you got upper. Upper is still derpy in this scene when you do when they go over the battle plans with everybody, including himself. So Upper's like over under his massive amount of big bison here, and like you still get the point, but you get the gauge. They're trying to call it not there, but you spaced out. So they show all the people over there getting ready for war, and then the rich guy's like, I'm gonna help out too. Now, if that would happen and my father was over there, he'd be like, no way, Joe, you're not going anywhere near the firebenders. You're gonna operate a crane that aimed through its window, for wrecking the wall. You're not going at the firebenders. But no, he loves them go. He loves to fight for his home and all that, his home turf. He does a pretty good job with it. And they show that he drops bombs on the tanks, even though the tanks they're like Spider-Man. They have big rubber hooks, and they launch into the air because they're pretty much invincible. Again, no metal bending so far in the world, so they're pretty much unstoppable. Except when Katara uses ice powers, and she can actually hold the tanks and then rip out their insert water into the seams and go into the tanks and then rip it apart. This goes to show that she's growing up as a waterbender, getting more into advanced techniques. For that, I think the scientists other into the whole idea that we took water. So in any case, they show him give him advice and stuff about dealing with this. And then they show him loading bombs and stuff, and on big bombs to big sticky bombs to come up the works for the Fire Nation tanks, which is a very smart idea. To keep going where it can't be. You gotta be gummed up. I like the idea about the spiked tires on it. Gives me good level vibes from the Franco movie I just saw. And it's very nice. But I got a question about the rubber thing in that when they launch the hook to grapple something, they have to grapple onto a rock face. And the rock face doesn't look very stable enough for a 2-ton tank to go on. They chose that and climb up the wall, the big cheek that leads up to the hook. So I don't get how it's supposed to hold steady I mean, if it pierced one of the walls of the temple, I can understand, going through there and getting caught on one of the rocks and stuff in the temple wall. Or like in the medieval castle, the big 2D tops to the, getting the hook, the grapple hook, being caught on top of one 2D things on top without crops. I can understand that, but just having just grabbing it and just letting it go, I can't see that supporting a tank. But they chose loosening it up and the tank falling down, only for a rear fire to happen and it starts up again. The way to stop it is to either gum it up or to have guitar rip it apart, or have left up muscle it out, topple that way, or do what guitar did, produce ice underneath it, then tip it over on the side so it can't flip over. And that's pretty interesting. But anyway, they end up Sucker ends up combining his know-how of the rotten smell with the methane leak, and found out that the major leak came right in like a little ravine right before the air temple came into play. So you got the Fire Nation forces come up the way there, and then over here you have the temple proper, and you have some foot soldiers going up the temple, a very narrow pathway, where they have to go one by one. So anyway, you have Sokka and the father putting the furnace for the hot air balloon into as a final bomb, and they drop it into the ravine, make everything go kablooey, and that's how they stop the Fire Nation advancement. Even the building itself is fine. So anyway, I like the way they introduce the fact that the Fire Nation can go on water. The water element is not safe. And then they choke the tanks being weak for them to traverse Earth really fast, so that element is not safe. And after the fire balloon, it goes into the ground, and the Fire Nation can take over the air element. So slowly but surely, the Fire Nation take over all the transportation possibilities for all of the elements in this world, which is what they want. And what they hear. But there is a question I have for the sense thought about it. How are these people able to get the food that they need for, like, say, a year to the temple, if the only path to go there is by air, which is only a recent thing, or by foot, which would be a little pathway and high up in the mountains. But that'd be tough stuff for anyone, because to transport a lot of cargo would be kind of difficult, and there's no real major farming areas over there either. when it was just put up by airbenders that was some different. Once you use the trapdoor that the fire guy used to get to the main hidden area. But yeah, I do like the fact that they said that, that Sokka is full of hot air and they wish they could shut it down and stuff. That was a fun joke. And, the guy even said that Sokka is a genius. The thing about the rotten egg thing, too. It shows that he's got mental powers, besides cracking jokes. And I like the way he advanced guitar's bending ability to cover ice down. I like the way they showed that Aang's more sensitive to like other things. And it also made that you understand how people can move into a new environment and change to liking. He compared it to like hermit crab, that whenever a hermit crab goes into a new home, it changes the home to suit its needs, like humans. Or in a more in a real life example, it's like this. When you think of battleships, big cruising boats and stuff, the problem, the ocean ends up, the ocean creatures use the man-made objects for homes, and it destroys whatever it was originally, but it makes homes for itself with like crabs, other crustaceans, fish, coal, etc. So you could see that more in the advertising guys too, which is nice. But at the end of the episode, the Fire Nation ends up taking the balloon plans, the battle balloon plans, and use it for later on in the show when the Phoenix King Ozai ends up taking over everything, or attempting to do so, from the purge of Fire Nation balloon. This does not go down like the Hindenburg, unfortunately. So, yeah, I really like this episode for those things. And it was very groovy to see a person in a wheelchair actually do something useful, than just be lame and do nothing all the episode, and be like, oh, so sorry for me and all this stuff. And also, like when he almost tipped over his chair. His chair, in that show with Korra, like we have the guy actually in the motorized wheelchair, but this one's muscle power, which is good. It should be jacked, those to do that. And of course, they have this like bandage stuff, but if I were there, I would have told people to wheelchair at least once, like I have done it in the past with my scooter in college. So anyway, I thank you for watching my review of the 17th episode of Season 1 of Parasol Lost Adventure. We're almost done with the first season, thank goodness. But yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. And it was called the Northern Air Temple, which again is indicative of them traveling up north to see Sandy Claus. And you know what? I love it. And I give this episode a very cool, happy face, seal of approval, because it was awesome. It showed the change good, even even if no man can accept change, like with Aang, because he's a free-flowing spirit, like the air people over there, because they might not be airbenders, but they have the spirit of one. And like this, it's up, fellow brethren. But in the last couple episodes, where they activate the financial proper, these people, these refugees, do come back into play, which is very good because it shows that Aang gets allies from everywhere, every one of his friends. Every one of his friends and allies become war allies on war. So yeah, if you guys like what you see here and you want to see more of my videos, you can always like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. You can also call me or text me for any type of information or opinion about my future stuff and whatnot by using my my cell phone number at 631-707-3707. Call me or text me at that. Or you can always follow me on Twitter or X if you prefer. And you can also get me on my you can always get me on my email at jjsviewingchannel@gmail.com. So, that's for all you Avatar fans, or you guys who like the whole technology in progress versus religion plus staying put, not progressing, and all that. And you can see how Aang makes a bit of a compromise in this thing. You can't be blindly, gung-ho on progress and all of this stuff. You have to be cautious about that kind of thing. Even the guy had a mess up, which was gung-ho with it, and it almost cost him his life. It almost cost him his eyebrows too, when a methane explosion, blew up. And I have to question about this too. When a methane deposit does blow up, doesn't the entire thing blow up, not just a portion of it, like the guy was indicating? So, peace out, my brothers. I'll see you in the next video. Salutations to all you girls and guys in this land. I'll see you in the next one. Aloha, sayonara.